Welcome to this special broadcast on Times Network. I have a very special guest with me who's at the forefront of the digital revolution that's happening in India. I have with us Sandhya Devanathan, Head and Vice President Meta India. Sandhya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mihir.
And it's a pleasure having you on Times Network. And considering that this is your first interview after taking over, I'm looking forward to some very interesting conversations.
Me as well.
Sandhya, I'll start with a basic question. It is believed that, obviously India remains the fastest growing large economy in the world, and it is believed that the digital infrastructure and the digital ecosystem that India has created is actually going to contribute immensely to the growth in the coming years. And in fact, a lot of people believe that it can add almost 100 basis points to the GDP growth that is going to happen. What is your take on that?
India's digital adoption and the rate of transformation in India just continues to completely astound us and inspire us. If you look at 800 million people now on internet, getting to 900 million in just the next 2 years, the pace of change has just been astounding. At Meta, we see India through a very special lens. This is where we have our largest communities, one of our largest communities on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So when we think about it, we look at it from, do we build products from India first? And we've certainly seen that happen with Reels that we've built on Instagram, which was an India first product. Even Reels tab was India first and then went global. Also, the experiences that we're creating with JioMart, which is the commerce experience all through WhatsApp, is also an India first product. So we definitely look at that lens when we think about what we build for India. The other bits that we're seeing is just this explosive growth of business messaging, which is businesses using WhatsApp and other messaging platforms on our product suite to communicate with their end users. So we're seeing that as well. And the third bit that we're seeing, which has given us optimism, is just the work that we're doing with small businesses where we've done work around enabling credit for them, around enabling working capital, as well as helping them equip them with the right skills and training to come online and to reach a larger scale of users and to sell more of their products.
Now, as the new captain of the ship, obviously you will have some sort of a roadmap in terms of the immediate opportunities, the midterm opportunities, and the long-term opportunities, because while we are the fastest growing economy, we are also likely to be one of the most sustained growth-oriented economy in the coming years.
Mihir, as we just spoke, the pace of transformation that's happening in India, be it around skilling, be it around how people are obtaining public services, or how they're interacting with businesses, and a lot of innovation around payments, commerce, all of that is happening at breakneck speed in India. And like I said, that continues to inspire us a lot. When I think about what that means, that translates into really, are we still providing value to businesses, to hundreds of millions of people and creators and businesses that use our platforms every day? Are we adding value to them? Are we helping businesses get their best ROI on our platform? So in the short term, I really want to think about how we continue to add value to people who use our platforms. I do also think the big global priorities, which have an India first lens, which is Reels and business messaging. And again, that is something we're very focused on as a team in India, to think about how we've seen creators and people from everywhere in India, not just the metros, but all over India, use Reels as a form of expression and to create on Reels. And we want to make sure that we're enabling that, unleashing that expression, and also making sure people use business messaging in a relevant way to communicate with their audiences, with their consumers. So that's the second priority. The third priority, which is a little more long-term for me, would be around just Metaverse, right? As you know, we changed our name to Meta. And since then, the journey has been really about, building the internet of the future. And India has a role to play. India will have the world's largest developer base by 2024. So thinking about how we can partner with India to sort of make that vision come true for us as a company is a longer term, a little longer horizon, but definitely something that me and my teams are thinking about and very excited about.
Right. India is actually in a very interesting spot right now, because while obviously we are, as an economy, it looks very promising, the growth prospects and all. we do have global headwinds. Unfortunately, it's not a uniform sort of a growth scenario at global level, or I would say for the global economy. Now, obviously, this means there are going to be certain trends or I would say tailwinds which will work for Indian businesses. Can you elaborate on those key trends which are going to aid growth for India and Indian businesses?
Mihir, great question. Again, I think I get to see the vantage point of two sides, right? Because I'm moving to India now. I'm here. So what I see globally is a very different story from what I see in India. Of course, there will be short-term headwinds, but Indian economy is really resilient at this point. There's still a lot of excitement around startups. We're aiming to become a manufacturing hub. So even as you see broader headwinds on the macroeconomic front globally, I think in India I see a story of resilience and hopefully optimism for the future. That being said, there are a few trends that I'd like to talk about. One is just if you think about India, powered by small businesses. We have 63 million small businesses, contributing to 30% of the GDP, employing 110 million people. And I think digital transformation and using digital will be front and center in powering India's growth for these small businesses. And let me explain. And we thought it was, during COVID, everyone went online. But what we've noticed is they've also stayed online. A survey, when we talked to small businesses on the Facebook platform, what we found was 55% of them told us that they get more than a quarter of their sales through digital channels this year. And that number is a pretty high number. But what we found was that it's even higher than what we surveyed earlier, because in Jan 2022, that number was 46%. So the relentless march to using digital to enable businesses of all sizes to grow continues. And what we found is 100% of the businesses who we surveyed, who said that they were braving the storm and doing well, all said that they were using digital channels. So there is a big trend of small businesses getting digitally enabled. The second big trend that I'm seeing is just the rise and the exponential rise of direct-to-consumer companies. They find a trend, they find an unmet consumer need, and they're going direct to consumers. And there, our platforms, along with other digital platforms, play a big role in enabling people to companies and young startups to reach out to all of India, right? So that's another big trend that I'm seeing. The third is just around built for India and built for Bharat, right? So if you think about the next story, the next growth story, it's really around reaching out to rural consumers, tier 2, tier 3 cities across all of India. And that's something that we've seen advertisers and businesses on our platform do a lot more of, and do it increasingly a lot more of on our platforms.
One of the key shifts that we are witnessing not only in India but globally is the way businesses communicate and the way people communicate. So and even the business messaging, I would say. So what is your take on that? This entire behavioral shift that we are witnessing.
And again, it's awesome to see all of these big shifts happening in my lifetime, right? So if you think about it, we have 400 million people and counting and increasing on a daily basis on WhatsApp, that use WhatsApp today in India, right? And that number obviously is higher globally. What we saw was initially just people using our messaging platforms to communicate with their loved ones, to reach out to friends, to stay connected basically in a very secure manner and a safe manner. Now what we're seeing is they're taking that behavior and reaching out to businesses. Across our family of apps globally, we see 1 billion messages sent to businesses every week. So across Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, people are now not just communicating with their friends and family, but also with businesses. And we did a survey earlier. This was a meta-commissioned research because we wanted to understand these shifts in consumer behavior in India. And what we found was 70% of the adults that we surveyed said they would much rather talk to a business through messaging. They don't want to wait for a phone call. They don't want to wait for an email. They're happy to do it on messaging. This is also a trend that we've seen in many other countries. So it's interesting to see that big shift. What we did during COVID was just a response to the behavior that we were seeing as well. People wanted reliable information. So I don't know if you use the MyGov chatbot, but 80 million people across the country used it to get reliable, timely information during a time of great stress for the nation, right? 33 million people downloaded their vaccination certificates. So it's going beyond just people wanting to talk to businesses. They're also talking to, they're happy to talk to public services and get their public services from messaging apps.
Sandhya, there is also, a lot of excitement about Metaverse. And obviously, Indians as well as globally anybody who's on the web is excited about it. What I want to understand from you is, how these future possibilities can be converted into profitable opportunities. That's part one. But the second part is, how it is going to affect things across the spectrum, right? From education to gaming to shopping to whatnot. So what is your take?
As a company, we renamed ourselves to Meta because we are all completely all in on this vision of the next embodiment of the internet, which is a completely immersive, collaborative space, and that's why we have made significant investments in building out the metaverse. So a couple of things. One is we think the metaverse is going to be interoperable. It's not something that we can build on our own. So we'll need everyone to chip in to help us build that metaverse. So our investments so far have been in really enabling that. So we're actually thinking about metaverse in India in a bunch of different ways. One is India itself and the internet population. And we talked about that, 900 million people online in the next 2 years. Huge opportunity for the country as it digitizes. The second thing is just the startup vibrant ecosystem that we have, 100 unicorns in just the last year alone. And despite the short-term headwinds, I firmly believe and I'm convinced that the future remains bright for entrepreneurs in our country. And the third bit, which is again, and I'll talk about how all of this ties back to the metaverse, is just the developer base. We're looking at the world's largest developer base sitting right here in India by 2024. So all of those augur very well for and complement our ambitions on the metaverse as well. So metaverse is not just VR, but it's also augmented reality. So the work that we're doing on Meta Sparks, I talked earlier, 750 million people use our AR FX across the world. So that's a big number. So people are already using AR, and that's a shift that we're seeing in consumer behavior. And we're certainly seeing that in India as well. So we're investing heavily in making sure people are trained on VR, on AR, and we have actually set up Meta Spark AR Academy, where we train people on that. We've also partnered with CBSE because this isn't something that will come, 20 years from now. Yeah. So we're looking at digital citizenship as well as curriculum that includes AR and VR. And our commitment has been 10 million students and 1 million teachers who we think, will be educated on AR, VR, and digital citizenship, like I said, in the next 3 years. So that's another big area that we're focused on, which is just education. The last bit, which is the further vision of the metaverse on VR and all of that, we've partnered with METI and FICCI. We have a 2 million fund with METI where we're looking at 120 startups across the country, many of them coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, almost 40% of them, and 20% of them being women, so which is really exciting for me. And they're building, in fields of education, in healthcare, all the things you talked about. So we actually want to give them the tools, the mentorship, and in some cases the funding to build for the metaverse. So we're both spending time on education, but also resources in helping the developer and the startup ecosystem build for the metaverse.
So Sandhya, if I take a step back and if we look at the rebranding from Facebook to Meta, it's not a typical rebranding that we see. Obviously, there is a serious message involved in this rebranding, and maybe it indicates a tectonic shift that's going to happen going forward. From that point of view, in the near term, what are the products or services that will become reality?
The name Meta really denotes beyond, right? So the meaning is beyond. And this is us pushing the boundaries of what digital connection can really look like. And the mission of the company hasn't changed, right? I've been here 7 years. it's still about connecting people. It's still about building community. It's still about, having businesses find value on our platform. So that hasn't changed. So through even the name change from Facebook to Meta, we've stayed core to what our mission is. Coming to what that means for us in the short term, it really means we're focused on two things as a company at this point. One is AI in the short term, really around how do we use artificial intelligence to unlock value, to better connect to our mission, and in the longer term, how does that power and how do we build the metaverse?
Sandhya, this Let's Talk Growth, it's an interesting campaign, and obviously somewhere it is aiming at the increasing adoption of WhatsApp business platform by businesses. What is the idea behind this campaign?
We're very excited about Let's Talk Growth. More than 400 million people use WhatsApp today, right? We have more than 400 million WhatsApp users, and that number keeps growing. So Let's Talk Growth is really a campaign that we hope will help businesses unlock that untapped opportunity. So we think that this is an opportunity that businesses should use to reach new consumers, to build their business, to engage with existing customers of theirs, using WhatsApp to actually reach out to their bank customers, to send them notifications, but increasingly also to tell them about all the new products that they have, right? So that's an example that we see. The other example is just Uber. Now you can book your rides on Uber on WhatsApp, meet customers where they are, get new customers, engage with your existing customers. And we have a full suite of tools. We're open for business now. We have everything from ad products that help you reach your customer, like click to messaging. So you click on an ad and you're taken to the messaging workflow. We have the WhatsApp business app where, if you're a small mom and pop store also, you can use that tool to reach out to your customers and build a strong customer base. Businesses are using this to grow their footprint, to become much more profitable, and to innovate on new products themselves. I think the thing that excites me most about the Let's Talk Growth campaign is the work that we're going to do to enable the next 100 or 200 million people to come online and experience or interact with a business. So what we see with Let's Talk Growth is just giving businesses the tools to get to new consumers, not just people who've experienced online shopping or have consumed services online.
Sandhya, with digital advertising increasing, what is the unique value that your apps offer to businesses? And the second part of the question is, how is that making digital commerce more seamless in the country?
We've spent a decade actually building really powerful discovery tools on our platform. And over the past decade, businesses of all sizes, like you said, large corporates, small businesses, have used our platforms to connect to their customers and to find this relevant target audience that they can go after. And the second thing is just around click to messaging, and we talked about this, which is using more and more people want to communicate with a business and not through a phone call. Almost 50% of businesses that use our click to messaging ads only use that product, right? Think small businesses. So again, they're seeing value and they continue to double down and use that product that we have. The third bit is just this whole bit around immersive experiences. I'd love to give you an example. Varun Riker's on our platform. He actually created an effect, which was a clone dance effect that went viral and got seen all around the world. And now he's making a living because people come and approach him, brands approach him to create AR effects for them on our platform. So we're also seeing businesses use and brands use AR effects on our platform to create immersive experiences. The last thing I would say is just influencers and creators. And as I've onboarded, I've met a lot of creators from across the country, blown away by how they use our platform for expression. But that has also meant that they're now becoming big voices in brands, what to buy. We're also seeing the emergence of creators and influencers.
Diversity is an area which is close to your heart. And is there a specific diversity agenda for Meta in plan for this year or next year?
Diversity is something that as a company we've firmly sort of espoused. We've invested resources in this, and this is something that's, you're right, is super close to my heart. the work that we've done on partnerships. So we've announced deals with minority-owned businesses during COVID. That's another area we've invested in. Or the work that we do with our employees, right, around how we hire, retain, and grow talent. So in all areas, so we don't look at diversity just as with one lens. We look at cognitive diversity, and we look at it across all areas of our company. Coming to India itself, I'm very proud of the work that we've done with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, where we're looking to empower around 1 million tribals, women, and that's something that we're invested in. We've also done a lot of work around women-owned businesses and entrepreneurship in women-owned businesses. The agenda for the year is to continue the good work that we've done on diversity and inclusion, not just within Meta, but also with the partners that we work with.
Sandhya, I want to go back to Reels because, obviously it sounds very exciting, the kind of growth it has witnessed, and you have spoken about it extensively. How do you think brands and people can leverage this format going forward?
What it's done is really it's unleashed creativity. Short form videos really unleash creativity and expression on our platforms, and it's done it in a few ways. One is it's not just people creating the reels, but it's also the music that they're adding onto it. Mm-hmm. So we see 15 of the top 20 most played music tracks on reels globally for us comes from India. More than 30% of reel plays have AR effects in them. And that's also something we're seeing, not the exact number, but we're seeing that also in India. Globally, we've seen 40% of businesses use reels in their ads. So they've found this way to engage with their customer base.
But almost 66% of internet users globally somewhere feel worried about identity theft. What steps Meta is taking to ensure that your social media handles, your platforms, they are all protected from spammers and hackers who kind of steal the data?
Our business model depends on keeping people safe on our platforms. Users will not use our products if they feel unsafe. So this is something we take really, really seriously, and it's become a huge issue globally across in terms of identity theft that you just talked about. So what we're focused on is two things. One is using people's personal information responsibly. They want us to do that. But also two, keeping them safe from hackers and other bad actors on our platform. So we continue to make pretty outsized investments in security and in tools that we use to keep people safe on our platform. What we've also done, we invest in technology, but we've also started investing in tools. So we're giving users control over their experience as well. So which is, we now have enabled second factor authentication. You get login alerts. Through our privacy checkup, you can actually check to see, your password security. So you can do all of that, and that is something that we're doubling down on. We take it really, really seriously. But we did Scam Se Bachao, which was a campaign that we ran, which just focused on educating people on how to keep themselves safe and not fall prey to payment scams online.